Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer with a massive, jarring reality. Right now, an estimated 60% of firefighting foams currently in use still contain toxic forever chemicals. I mean, really think about that for a second. More than half of the defense systems we literally rely on to stop catastrophic chemical and fuel fires, they are actively harboring substances that poison our planet.
So, today, we're breaking down this high stakes collision between environmental regulations and the life or death realities of fighting ship fires. We're looking at a monumental shift in the maritime industry, one that totally pits the long term health of our oceans against the immediate, right now, survival of mariners fighting extreme fires. Here is how we're structuring today's journey. We'll look at the 2026 IMO foam ban, uncover the power of PFOS, face the environmental cost, explore the fluorine-free alternative, tackle the operational realities at sea, and finally, look at the road to compliance.
Starting off with Section 1, the 2026 IMO foam ban. This is a hard deadline. The International Maritime Organization has officially prohibited the use or storage of any fire-extinguishing foam on board ships containing PFOS above 10 milligrams per kilogram. As you can see, these high-pressure monitors blast massive amounts of foam to cover decks and manifolds. Well, for existing ships, all of this PFOS foam must be removed or replaced at the very first survey on or after January 1st, 2026. And if you've got a new ship with a keel laid on or after that date, it has to be completely PFOS-free upon delivery. There's literally no gray area here. Moving to Section 2, the power of PFOS, the magic chemistry. To truly understand why this ban is so incredibly disruptive to the industry, we first need to understand the magic of the chemistry we're leaving behind. PFOS is a synthetic fluorinated compound that gave these films their absolute superpower. When mixed with water and air under pressure, AFFF, or aqueous film-forming foams, have this unbelievable ability to form a rapid, fuel-resistant, and saltwater-tolerant film over Class B oil and fuel fires. It spreads so fast it prevents fuel from reigniting, and crucially for ships, it remains totally stable in salty marine conditions. For decades, it's basically been the gold standard for saving vessels.
And this brilliantly illustrates the chemical difference when we compare what we have to what we're moving toward. Old AFF extinguishes a fire in 3 distinct ways. It creates a foam blanket, it cools the fire with water, and it drains a fluorinated surfactant that forms a literal vapor-suppressing film between the foam and the fuel layers. It's like a magical chemical seal. Now look at the new F3 foams, the fluorine-free alternatives. The only suppressed in 2 ways, the foam blanket and the cooling water. So they are entirely missing that chemical seal. Section 3, the environmental cost, a toxic nightmare.
So, you might be wondering, if PFOS works so flawlessly to save ships and the replacement is missing a key mechanism, why are we banning it? Well, the crucial point is that its very strength makes it a forever chemical. It never breaks down. It's completely non-biodegradable, bioaccumulative, and extremely persistent. Once it gets discharged during a fire, or honestly, even just during routine testing or maintenance, it stays in the soil, the water, and living tissue. It accumulates in marine life and human bodies for decades. It's a brilliant fire suppressant for sure, but a totally toxic environmental nightmare. To put that scale into perspective, without strict regulatory measures in place, like the IMO ban and the European Union's restrictions, an estimated 470 tons of PFAS-containing firefighting foam would continue to enter our environment every single year. It's an unsustainable environmental cost that the globe has simply decided we can no longer pay. Which brings us to Section 4, the fluorine-free alternative, the F3 transition. Here is the solution: fluorine-free foams, or F3, and how they actually fit into a ship's complex defense grid. Ships generally use 2 fixed systems that must now transition to F3. First up, you have low-expansion systems. These are primarily for open decks, cargo areas, and manifolds, featuring an expansion rate of 12 to 1 or less. Then you have the rapid, high-expansion systems. These are totally different beasts. They're designed to completely flood interior machinery spaces with an expansion rate of a staggering 1,000 to 1, filling a space at over a meter of depth per minute. When you see high-expansion foam in action like this, you realize replacing the chemical in these tanks isn't just a simple liquid swap. F3 foams have entirely different flow characteristics, which is known as rheology.
Dropping a thicker F3 concentrate into an existing system can completely upset the flow balance, alter the viscosity, and drastically change the expansion rate of the entire system. You literally can't just assume the new batch will behave exactly like the old AFF batch did in the same hardware.
Section 5. Operational Realities at Sea. F3 on the open ocean. And that leads us to the most dangerous complication of this entire explainer, taking a lab-tested chemical out into the unforgiving ocean. As Captain Raghu Sharma perfectly summarizes here, environmental compliance cannot come at the cost of a mariner's survival in a real emergency. A calm sea is never the standard. Wind, ship motion, and the geometry of the deck all dictate how well a firefighting foam actually performs when lives are on the line.
So let's look at the harsh realities of F3. Because it lacks that fluorinated chemical film we talked about earlier, it has to compensate by building a much thicker physical blanket. This makes it highly sensitive to fuel burnback if that blanket happens to break. It also means you're totally reliant on perfect system and nozzle compatibility. The margin for error is just fundamentally smaller than it was with the older foams. And when you factor in ocean winds, the reality gets stark. Laboratory tests for these new F3 foams are often conducted behind screens at wind speeds under 3 meters per second. But out on the deck of a ship, 3 meters per second is barely a light puff. Real wind eats distance. It tears up the physical foam blanket. And because F3 relies purely on that physical blanket staying intact, you might need significantly higher application rates or adjusted nozzle elevations just to achieve the exact same coverage you used to get easily.
Finally, Section 6, the road to compliance, the action plan.
Let's see how operators can safely navigate this transition before the deadline hits. Whether your ship is facing an annual, periodical, or renewal survey in 2026, ship owners must strictly follow these 4 steps. First, you have to audit your vessel. Second, you have to collect manufacturer declarations or get lab testing to prove your PFOS is under that 10 milligrams per kilogram limit. And heads up, that specialized lab testing can take weeks and cost anywhere from $300 to $500 a sample. Third, you must dispose of the old toxic foam at approved shore-based facilities. You definitely can't just dump it. And finally, upgrade to the IMO-approved F3 alternatives and update your hazardous materials inventory. Oh, and a critical warning for crews that's incredibly easy to overlook. Those smaller, portable, and semi-portable extinguishers, like the 9-liter and 20-liter units, they are subject to the exact same ban. Furthermore, because they're often stored in high-temperature engine rooms, the foam concentrates inside them can degrade way faster than the bulk tanks. They might very well be the first items that fail an inspection if you aren't paying close attention. Plus, you have to make sure the new F3 foam actually works in those specific handheld nozzles. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the chemistry of forever chemicals to the harsh realities of fighting fires and high ocean winds. Paperwork, lab tests, and certifications are absolutely essential for compliance. But I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Have you done the quiet, practical preparation, the actual system testing and flow recalibration to ensure your new F3 system will actually save your ship when the ocean is anything but calm? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Stay safe and stay prepared.